Hi all, I wanted to make a quick recording trying to show you all what we did in class today. I know we had major internet problems again today, and I'm sorry about that. Hopefully they'll be resolved soon. So for the purposes of this video, I am going to start at the beginning. I'm going to walk you through how to get to the lab, how to get to the VLab, how to open idle, really quickly do what we did in class today and work from there. So I have swapped over to where I am in student view on Courseden. So my screen will look like your screen. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go over to the content page, view, and we're going to work on lab 2, which I did in class today. So if you did it in class and you submitted it and it's all working, this video is just a repeat of what we did in class. So what we're going to do is, instead of opening it from here right now, I'm going to go ahead and go to the VLab, get Courseden open over there because it will make submitting the file much easier. So I'm going to open a new browser window and type in the address for the VLab, which is vlab.westshore.edu. Press enter. You can install this Horizon client, but it has been giving people a lot of trouble. So I suggest that you just go ahead and use the web client. And it is slow, and I'm sorry about that. I'm doing it from my home in Whitesburg right now, so it's even slower sometimes because I have a very slow internet connectivity. This login, you're going to use your one login or your UWG account. You probably only have the general lab as an option because I teach multiple classes. I have more options here, but you want to pick the general lab. So once you get into the general lab, it looks like this. We're now going to go to Google Chrome inside of the VLab. So we're opening a web browser inside of our web browser right now. We're going to go back to West Georgia, sign in using your one login information. Try that again. Of course, I have to go find my phone. Hold on a second. All right, so now we're into our one login. I'm going to go to Courseden, pick the class. Let me swap back over to student view. Now I'm going to go to the content page. I'm going to select Lab 2. Since I did this in class already, it shows a submission, so just ignore that for right now. I'm going to click on the link to open the document with the directions in it. I'm going to ignore that for right now if it'll let me. So I'm going to ignore that it says I don't have an account right now because I just don't feel like trying to log into my Microsoft 365 account. You guys can do whatever you want to as far as that goes. I'm going to split my screen up and put the directions on one side of the screen and my Courseden page on the other, where I can look at two things at once. So once I've done that, I've got my directions handy. I now need to get into IDLE. So I'm going to type in the search bar down here at the bottom, IDLE. Choose this one. And so this opens up the IDE we're going to work in. The very first thing you should do every time you start an assignment is go to File, New File, and create a blank workspace for you to work in. I am super paranoid, so I always do save as the very first thing and name it and get it set up for what we're doing. Because you're in the vlab, you need to click around until you get to go to the C drive, users, find your name, and desktop, because it won't let you save. It's easier to save things to the desktop because there are a lot of places that the vlab won't let you save things to. You should always name every file you do for me with your first name, followed by your last name, and the assignment number. So this one, or assignment name, this one is Lab 2. It should automatically put the file type in here as a Python file. If it doesn't, you need to select Python file and then click Save. And now up here at the top, it has the file name and where it's located on this machine. All right, so first thing we're going to start off with is our main function. So we're going to use DEF, which is short for define. So we're going to define this function, the name of which is main. It has an open and close parentheses and a colon. Oops, can't type today. So that's the first line of your main function. We are going to have a whole lesson on functions, and I'll explain what each of these pieces mean in detail then. But for right now, just do this way because I said so, and more information will come as to why. So inside of here, oops. Oh, my computer hates me today. You need to pay. All right, so now I have, again, the wrong window. There it goes. This one. Okay, now that I got that split right. So I'm going to look at my directions on this screen and type over here. This went much smoother in class than it's going right now. So the first instruction, number 1, tells us to create a print statement to display a welcome message to the user. I have some examples down here at the bottom of what the output should look like. So an example welcome statement is this first line here. So I'm going to start off with the keyword print, open the parentheses, use double quotes because I'm typing a string, and whatever you want your welcome message to say. Welcome Python. Oops. And now that's the first thing we had to do. We could test this if we wanted just to test our first lesson or our first line of code at this point. But for expediency, we're not going to right now. I'm going to do a couple of lines of code before we start testing. But I want you to note that the lines inside of the function are indented. Please let Python do the indentations for you where they all line up. So when I hit enter at the end of this line, it automatically indents to the proper place for the next line. And it will do this for every line of code that you want to be in this function. So the next thing we need to do is create 3 input statements. So when we're doing an input statement, we're going to ask a question that's going to be printed on the screen for the user. The user then is going to provide us with input or data. That data is going to need a place to stay where we can use it again. So we need to create variables for each one of these input statements to hold the data that we're getting. So the very first question we're going to ask is, what is your name? So we need a variable that will hold name. The easiest thing to do is when you create that variable is to name it name. And then we're going to use an equal sign to show that we're putting value in to that variable. And then on this side of the equal sign, we're going to call our input function. Inside the parentheses, we're going to put our question. Now, notice that I put a space between the question mark and the double quotes. That's because I want the cursor after it asks the question, I want it to put a space between the question mark and the blinking cursor on the user screen, just to make it easier to read and prettier user interface. If you don't put that space in, it will immediately have the user start typing right up against the question mark. The next thing we need is favorite. The question is favorite color. So I'm going to call this variable color. And again, it's an input statement with a question. I'm going to bring my font size down since I'm not projecting on a screen, so we can get more on a line and you can see it all on one line. The third question is, what's your favorite hobby? So hobby seems to be the obvious choice for the variable name. So now I've asked 3 questions. Let's do a little testing to see, make sure that works. So for us to test this, we need to activate or call that main function. So I'm going to use the backspace key to unindent. That tells the computer that this command is not part of the definition we are using for main. And I'm just going to call the main function. I can go up to run, do run module. You always have to save. And now it ran and it printed our welcome station and it's brought up the first question. So what is my name? It's going to sit there and blink until the user, who is me at this point, types in something. Once I hit enter, after I typed in my name, it asked me the second question. And so right now, all we have told the computer to do is to ask the questions and get the data, but we haven't done anything with the data. So far, everything we wrote is doing exactly what I expected it to do. So now we're going to go back over here. And I'm just going to close this little runtime window and get it out of my way. And I'm going to move to part 3 or step 3. And we want to use print statements to display the information we just collected and format it where it just looks pretty. And it's clear and the user can understand it. Again, an example is down here. So if I follow that example, I'm going to put another line in here that's going to be another print statement. And I want to give it a little space between the questions and the answers. So I'm just going to put a print statement in with no information in it. And all that'll do is print a blank. We'll print a blank line. And then I can go in and create my little title block where I have user profile. And yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine, just as long as it's clear and user-friendly. And then I want to print out name, colon. And to that, I want to add the information that's in our name variable. So the stuff that I want to print exactly as is, I put inside of quotation marks. I use a plus sign to add information to the string we just created. In this case, I want the information inside of the variable, so I use the variable name not in quotes. Variable names never go in quotes. So what this line is saying is I'm going to print out name colon space, and then to that I'm going to add whatever we stored in this variable. So in this case, it's going to print out name colon Tracy. And we can do that for all 3 pieces of information that we got. I learned to type. And so this time when I run it, it's going to ask me the questions. I can put in different information than what I did last time. And then it should print whatever I inputted. So every time you run this, the user can put in different information and then it will print it out. So it's not going to save it long term. It just saves it for while the program is running. All right. So if we've gotten this far and it's doing the printing and stuff, then you've completed lab 2. So let's turn lab 2 in. So I'm going to close this Word document because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to go back over here to the internet window I have open with CourseDen and drag it back over here to this side because I don't need this. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And I'm going to come in here to our CourseDen page. I'm going to click the upload button. I'm going to pick the file. I'm going to do open. It's going to place the name of the file here in this upload window, but you're not done until you scroll down and click this blue submit button right here. Once you've submitted it, it should put a submission in this section under submissions. I've done this twice today. So it has both submissions. It has the one I did at 2:25 and it had the one I just now did at 7:55. If you do not see something that looks like this with a date and a time, then you have not submitted it. So that is how you submit do a lab and submit it inside of the vlab. Really quickly before I finish this video, I'm going to get out of the vlab because it is super slow. I'm going to close these. I'm going to come up here, get that little X to come up where I can get out of the vlab. I'm going to close the tab with the vlab in it because it slows my computer way down. So if you don't want to use the vlab and you're on your own personal machine and you are at home or at school, you have your own laptop, whatever, you can go to python.org. Click on the downloads tab, download whatever the most current version is, 3.13, that's 13.7, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Or if you're on this page, you can use this yellow button. I have clicked on it multiple times now and have it downloading too many times, so I'm going to close one of them. I already have Python on this machine, so I don't really want to run the executable again. But once it downloads, you can just hit this executable and install it on your machine. It's really super fast install. You just want to go with the standard installation. You don't have to do any advanced things. You don't have to do any reconfiguring unless you just really want to. But once you do get it installed, you can then not have to use the vlab. You can just go directly to your computer and in the search bar, type in idle. And it opens up in your own computer. You can set up where you want to save it. You can create a folder, and then you won't have to worry about being coursed in on the vlab's web browser. You can just do it all from your computer, and it takes a little bit of the lag out of it and makes things go a little bit faster. All right, so that is all I have today. Hopefully this video will help you guys out. And if you have any questions, please email me or grab me in class on Tuesday.